Welcome back. A little snow out there on the road this morning. It is 6:43 on your Thursday. Of course, since the pandemic first hit, more and more kids are showing signs and getting diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, more commonly known as ADHD. So joining us this morning to take a look at how ADHD affects kids and to look a little deeper at what's happening here is child psychologist and Dr. David Shirella for Healthy Living for Kids. Dr. C, good to see you as always.
Good morning. Good morning.
So let's start with ADHD itself. I mean, all of us have at least heard of it. So how does that truly affect a child's day-to-day functioning?
Well, there are three basic symptoms. It's the inattention, difficulty concentrating and focusing. Secondly, impulse control. They tend to be very impulsive. For example, this is the child that blurts out answers in school, and the hyperactivity. There's just very active difficulty sitting still. So those are the three main symptoms of ADHD.
So is that difficult to diagnose then as a professional?
Yes, it is. I mean, there are very strict guidelines according to DSM-5. For instance, you have to demonstrate these behaviors largely before the age of 12. You have to demonstrate them in two different settings, which is difficult making a diagnosis while a child is in quarantine or at home. And that has to have a functional impairment. It has to interfere with their life on a daily basis. So the guidelines for a diagnosis are pretty developed and stringent. But what's happened since the COVID and since the quarantine, pediatricians are increase in call to pediatrician's office, increase in number of kids taking medication, increase in diagnosis, in addition to all the other stuff that's going on with kids in terms of the academic slide, and they're feeling lonely and stressed, depressed, and anxious, and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and how many times have we talked over the last year or so in this segment alone about the stress and the strain on kids? Do you think that, that could play a role in revealing some of these symptoms?
That's an excellent question, Steve. I do think it plays a role. I mean, people have difficulty, especially children, paying attention and concentrating, staying focused, finish tasks when they're stressed, when they're anxious, and when they're depressed. So, the increase in parents' concern and diagnoses and so on and so forth might be related to other factors rather than ADHD. It may be that it's kind of like the breaking point for parents. Their children may be demonstrating these behaviors and they weren't sure, they're not, but then all of a sudden now they have physical evidence. They see it every day. And so it's like it is possible that their child does have an attention deficit problem, but was never treated before, and now it's quite evident that they are. Just the situation of virtual learning, I mean, is difficult for everybody. Even people without attention problems are going to experience difficulty sitting still, looking at a computer without all of the other interaction and all the other things that happen in in-person education.
So if there's a parent out there that thinks their child might be showing some signs of this, what should they do about it? What steps should they take? And is medication always going to be the end result in these situations?
No. It's not always the end result. And I would tell parents to exercise caution making that diagnosis now. I would recommend that if you have concerns, get an evaluation, see a professional and do a lengthy evaluation so that you can make sure. It's, again, very difficult diagnosis to make in general, and it's very difficult when you can just have to take data from a sample at home, and so it's limited. And there are things parents can do at home in terms of helping them with that, like chunking, breaking tasks down into smaller units. Exercise is great. If we could all start our day running or exercising for 20 minutes, it would be perfect. I like to tell parents to do what I call brain breaks. Every 20 minutes, get up, do a few jumping jacks, move around a little bit, and then sit back down. So there are some things that you can do in order to help your child pay attention at home while they're watching the screen and learning. I
feel like I need to take that advice myself, just with Zoom meetings and everything, working from home half the time, right, Dr. C?
Did you pay attention to what I just said? Could you repeat that for me?
I did. I think I'm going to go do some jumping jacks here after the segment now. So, Dr. C, good to see you. Great advice as always. We appreciate you taking some time out. Thanks.
All right. Have a great day.
You too. All right. It is trivia time. Coming up after the break, let's take a look at the question of the day. Today is Pluto Day, by the way. Pluto is no longer a planet, sadly. If you know the answer to this question on when that title was taken away, give us a buzz.